Immigrants have replaced South Africans as the modern day slaves. Whether they want to agree with that or not is the reality. There's no target here. The issue is with government. The issue is with the system.
But if we're saying
if
it's
the
with
system
government,
is allowing for migrants to currently clog the system so that South Africa does not grow,
I hear you.
Then the problem is not only the migrants, it's the system. So when we fight the current system, we remove the problem, which is the migrants that are not allowing us to fight the government. I said this in one of the interviews. Let me explain to you.
South Africa's immigration debate is becoming even more heated as March leader Jacinta Zuma has once again accused the government of failing to deal with illegal immigration. Speaking on the issue, Jacinta claimed that illegal immigrants have clogged the country's systems and services, saying the government has not done enough to enforce immigration laws. She also made the controversial statement that immigrants have replaced South Africans as modern-day slaves, arguing that many employers prefer hiring undocumented foreign nationals because they can be paid lower wages.
Immigrants have replaced South Africans as the modern-day slaves. Whether they want to agree with that or not is the reality. Because from what you're saying with the issue of
I would push back on that idea.
No, you can. But if that was a bunch of white people marching the streets the other day, today, the government would have come up with a comprehensive plan on immigration.
What did day one look like? Where did this movement find its momentum?
The target is government for allowing the issue of illegal immigrants to thrive in the country. The target is government for not enforcing their own laws.
You're chasing immigrants away.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. That's not true.
Are you Israeli funded? You say definitely not. Is there nothing like that behind the strings? Are you saying we're completely grassroots, completely organic? There is nobody behind us playing puppet master and pulling the strings here?
Like it.
And if you guys are weak, if you guys have been castrated and cut off at the knees by apathy and addiction, you guys will never be effective.
Strong men standing united on Christian values and ready to rebuild this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't been living under a rock, you're probably aware of the March and March protests that have been going down across the country over the last couple of months, from your major city centres like Johannesburg all the way down to your smallest little surf villages like St. Francis Bay. Local South Africans are starting to raise their voices and tell a story that has so far gone unheard. I'm here with Jacinta, who is the face of the latest protests, to hear about her, where she's come from, and what the marches have been like, what her plans are for the future. Jacinta, thanks for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
I want to start off talking about you. I feel like people don't know enough about who you are and where you've come from. So tell me about, elevator pitch, where are you from? What has been foundational to your character being formed?
I'm from KZN. I was born in Eshowe. Moved to Kwamashu because my family relocated there, but we still have a home Eshowe. Grew up with grandparents because my mom and dad separated because there was political war and the whole apartheid thing. So my dad ran away, grandpa stayed, and the family separated like that. So I grew up with my mom's side of the family, and they raised me. My grandparents played a very big role in shaping who I am. My grandmother was a Roman Catholic, so we went to church even if it was snowing, even though it doesn't snow in South Africa. It's just like a joke. But I'm just trying to paint it like how church was a big deal at home. They really believed in education, so everything was about church, education, church. That's why I think almost everyone at home went to school, got to university level, and then from there went to Johannesburg, lived there throughout high school and university. I came back to KZN, where I started my journey on radio, on UKZN radio. Okay. Because I loved radio so much.
Yeah, and you've done well there.
A lot, So I went to UKZN radio. The radio bug got me, started doing community radio. I dropped out of university for a while. And as I was growing in the radio space, but I went back to school. I was like, I have to get a degree somehow. So while I was getting an education, I was working, got my degree as well. And that's how I've been. I've been involved in a lot of community activism. I've done a lot of things in my community. And I've used my radio platform to help a lot of people, because I think that's what my core beliefs have been about. It's about me being happy when other people are happy, and when I bring about change in my community. So yeah, I think that's it really. Then I got married, and now I'm married with my husband, and that's it.
Amazing. I think it's just cool to have a little bit of insight into you and who you are as a person. We hear so much about the movement that you've built, but I think very few people actually have got any insight into who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's very cool too. So let's talk about these march and march processes that have come up and that you've been a big part of driving. A couple of months ago, I heard an announcement that there was a Nigerian king that had been appointed or crowned or was being honored in East London. And there was a bit of like a kerfuffle around that, and kind of paid it a little bit of attention, and I thought, flip, that's weird. And then this protest has kind of built, this movement has built over the last couple of months, popping up,
Yeah.
How did it start? What did day one look like? Where did this movement find its momentum, and what happened?
Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming, if I can tell you. I've been, like I said, on radio for a while. I've had a large following, even on social media. So I used to use my social media for a lot of things. I mean, at once upon a time, I pulled off like a wedding for a couple that didn't have money, just using like radio and social media. So I've been using social media for a lot of things to bring about change in the community, etc. And then this one time, like this thing was consistently bothering me. I was getting a lot of complaints from people about the issue of foreigners, especially Nigerians, etc., etc. But I just felt like it was a normal thing, to get normal complaints like I did on radio. But then, then it was on TV, and there was Sizothola every Sunday. I don't know if you know what Sizothola is. It's actually a TV show that shows drug busts.
Okay.
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so every Sunday without fail, there's Nigerians on TV being busted with drugs, etc., etc. And I used to complain about this. It's like my favorite show on TV. But I think the turning point of it all was when I realized that this is just more than just like your normal complaints, because I started having like these wild dreams of children being put in containers and taken out of the country. I used to have those dreams a lot, and I'd tell my husband, like, no, probably because you just think about this a lot, or pray about it or whatever. Then I remember the last voice that I heard was like, if you don't do anything about this, next time it'll be your child in that container. And I think that day changed my life completely. Because I knew this means that I have to do something about it.
Interesting.
But funny enough, around that time, when I was having those dreams, a lot of children are going missing, like weekly. Like sometimes even not even weekly, like 3 or 4 children a day. People, please help me find my child. I've lost my, etc., etc. And then around that same time, then the killings of the children from the food started happening. The Spada shop.
Yeah, poison food.
Yes. Oh, I lost it when that was happening. I was writing about it every day. Like, the government needs to take this seriously. We were writing to the government, why are you not taking this seriously? Like, children are dying. And remember, these snacks are not coming from local production. They're coming from all those illicit goods that are coming in to our country, unmonitored, etc. So I waited for the president to just say something like, profound, like something presidential.
This is a problem. We should do
20-something children are dying. Like, do something about it. I was hoping he's going to say, you know what, shutting down spaza shops until all the food is regulated. There's only going to be, suppliers that are, approved by government, something. The man goes on TV and says, let's register them. That's it.
Okay.
And we'll go and research into what. That was the last time he ever spoke about that or those children ever again.
And so what was day one then for you?
That was it. It was a combination of that. And then I went on social media and I'm like, guys, I'm losing it with this man, And then everyone is like, guys, let's do something about it. We're always keyboard warriors. Come on, Jacinta, we trust you to do something, blah, blah, blah. Everyone on Facebook was like putting their trust in me to do something about this.
Okay.
Because we're all outraged. We're sitting there on Sundays, always outraged. Always sitting there, always outraged. Communities are complaining, outrage, but it's always on social media. So then I said, okay, guys, you know what? It's January now. I think I remember very well. I think it was in January. Let's do something now. There's March. Let's march in March. And that's when we started March and March. But it started as March in March.
I hear you.
Then after our first March in March, now March is over, right? Yeah. Then everyone is like, okay, what's next? And then I'm sitting there like,
March
okay,
April.
what is next? I was like, do we say March in April, March in June? I sat there like, gosh, what are we going to do? And then it just hit me like, okay, you don't have to change the march because that's the important thing about it. You know, freedom was attained through marching. Yes. March must remain. Okay. So I said, okay, let's say march and march. Okay. Let's change the in to and. Yes. And then continue to march and march, which is a continuation.
And I've heard the stories. Being on the ground, speaking to protesters myself, I've heard the mother who has lost her daughter to dirty drugs from a Nigerian gang.
Prostitution.
I've heard about the young man who has a matric or a degree and can't find work, and he goes home to his family and cannot provide, and he sees the Malawian or the Zimbabwean or the Mozambican or whoever it is with work, and he says, you know, this isn't right. And I see or at least I hear of the slumlord syndicates that are hijacking buildings or RDP houses. I know that the majority of Zama-Zamas are undocumented illegals. So I see that. What do you think, if you had to summarize the pain points of the movement, what do you think are like the big
Sure, I think the most painful part of them all is a government that doesn't listen to you. I think that's the biggest problem here, because if the government listened to the people, we wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't have to be.
I mean, we wouldn't have to be, because the government would have solutions. Like I'm telling you now, it started with the president ignoring the deaths of South African children.
Yes.
But you see what the painful part is that if those were foreigners or the children of foreigners, they know the outrage would come from the rest of the world and they would have acted accordingly. So we don't get the same, you know, type of protection in our own country because the rest of the world is going to say, what about foreigners? That's why we're here.
I've said this before. I think that what we are seeing with your movement is the natural consequence of a government that is unresponsive to the problems of its people.
Absolutely.
And if the publicly elected governing body, like the people that have been put there to serve as public servants, aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, this is what comes out.
Absolutely.
What I have been impressed by is how peaceful it has actually been. In a country like ours that has the murder rates of a war zone, right? And I'm not saying that there haven't been
anger.
And I'm not saying that there hasn't been some isolated incidents, right? I know that there have been some people who have been chased away that have got papers. I know that there have been some people pulled out of their houses. I saw something about that online recently, of a news story. I understand that, but for the most part, the fact that the mob, which generally once it's been set up and it's rolling, it's very hard to control, has been so peaceful. I think it's been, we were expecting like Durban July riots, most South Africans, I think, and it's actually been relatively peaceful considering. What do you attribute that to?
Look, I think we've spent enough time with the people to know that things were going to get out of hand and quickly. Trust me, I think a lot of people don't realize how much our movement has contained the anger of the people.
I can imagine.
And people take that for granted. Like we just woke up in the morning and everyone is just peaceful. First of all, it started with people being scared to express just how angry they are.
Yeah, because you get labeled xenophobic.
Yes. That's been the natural thing. But within communities have been fed up. And that has been my fear, that once it topples over, people are going to start dying, and nobody's going to be able to stop this thing. So we've managed to teach people of their rights more than anything, and remind them of their power. I think that's the most powerful thing that our government hasn't been able to do. Our government has disempowered South Africans, truly.
I hear you.
And to remind them that, listen, you have the power in you to say, we've never been consulted when it comes to ZDPs. We've never been consulted when it comes to refugees being in our communities. We've never been consulted with giving foreign nationals the right to come open spaza shops. That is where your power is as communities. But you're not going to be able to communicate your power through violence. because we come from a violent background.
Sure.
So violence is a natural thing because we've never really rid ourselves of it. And people
Sure.
don't understand why there's so much crime. Because there's so much violence. There's been so much violence in this country from way back.
Yeah.
You know, even when people protest, remember, the government has taught them that for us to hear you, go in the street and burn tires. It's the government's fault. I continue to say this.
And so I'm so impressed by that power under control.
Yeah.
You've maybe perhaps shown them their power, but it's been
Yes.
a power that's been held under control. It's
Yes.
meekness. That's a
Yes.
pretty important Christian principle to have.
Yes.
Is knowing this, you have
You
this
know
power.
why? It's not that difficult, really. South Africans are kind people.
Yes.
And I think Ubuntu is a very important principle to
I hear
us.
you.
People don't understand that the reason we have allowed this to go on for so long is because of that kindness exists. It's in us. It's not something that we have to import from somewhere to pretend that we have. But
hear you.
when kindness is
Yeah.
overused
Yeah.
and people feel mistreated in their own country,
Yeah.
that kindness slowly dies out.
Yeah.
So we have to try and balance between remember that kindness, don't let it go anywhere,
Yeah.
but also you are just as important as a foreigner in your own country, and don't let anyone take that away from you. The government is the problem. That's why I think we
hear you.
continuously say that
Yeah.
the government is the problem.
Sure.
The unfortunate part, though, is that when South Africans wake up in the morning, they don't see government, they see foreigners.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
When they go and they're on social media and they're saying, you know, foreign nationals who are in the country legally must go. The people who respond and tell them we're not going anywhere, you won't do anything to us, are not the government. That's where the problem is.
Trevor Noah is a very liberal, call him a clown, an entertainer perhaps. He said something that I thought was wise the other
Profound.
day.
Yeah, I heard him.
And I actually took note of it because I don't often hear him say something that's profound. He said, it is easy to feed the poor dude on the street when your own fridge is full.
Yeah.
When your fridge is empty, it's a lot harder. And I think it is governments failing that we're here after 30 years, that not even the border withstanding, right?
Yeah.
The fact they haven't had a border for the last 30 years is a problem. But our economy is stalled. We need to have at least 3 or 4% to have any kind of dent in the unemployment rate that we have, which is insane. I think it's like 43% on a broad basis.
Yeah.
And we're at like 1%. So there is no hope for this future. There is no hope for more
Yeah.
jobs coming. And then what's the natural response to that going to be? It has to be, we've got a problem. And then the focus lands on the immigrant who is taking the job and perhaps does bring some crime and is opening a spaza shop. Very, very organized. The Chinese,
It's
the
a network.
Pakistanis, the Somalis come in.
It's a criminal net. I don't want it to.
Skirting the law.
No, I don't want us to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
The spaza shop business has become a criminal network.
I agree with
it's
you.
no longer a normal business.
I agree with
because
you.
if you're killing South Africans who are opening spaza shops because you don't want them to open spaza shops where the areas you think belong to you, your territory, that is a crime network. It's gangsterism.
Yeah.
It's not migrants who are poor running away from their conditions in Somalia and Ethiopia and Pakistan
Well
and Bangladesh.
established, big corporations. with
Very
back
well
networks.
established. And all of these people know each other.
Yeah.
They have networks. And the biggest problem of this all is the money network.
Yeah.
Where is the money that they are getting from these spaza shops? Because it's not going to SARS.
Yes.
It's not coming back to our economy.
Yes.
On top of that,
Yeah.
the goods coming from the ports, it's a network from outside of South Africa. It's not a network in South Africa.
And it doesn't benefit us either.
The people keep making this thing look like it's all glossy. You know, like, oh, it's poor migrants coming in because they're poor, they're refugees and asylum seekers, and oh, they need to survive. Why would we have more foreigners going to Home Affairs litigating the department to stay in South Africa and continue getting more rights than migrants actually should if they don't know what they're doing? They know exactly what they're doing. And let me tell you, you know exactly what they're doing because now they've started going to try and get voted for in communities and starting their own political parties, etc., etc. There was even a video of a member in parliament. I think I'll find that video. I'll try and find it for you. Who was saying that the Jews are coming here in numbers, so therefore we need to make sure that we bring in more Pakistanis from Pakistan to come to South Africa.
I'd rather just have South Africans.
That is exactly my point. You know, people are saying Jacinta is funded by Israel. I'm like, do you guys not hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
I don't care about foreigners coming from Israel, from Pakistan, from...
As long as they have their paperwork.
saying, even besides getting paperwork, because that's another element I want to go into. I care about South Africans right now.
And I agree with you. I don't think that it's unfair to say, I'm for my family first.
Yes.
I'm not unkind if I put a lock on my gate
Not
and
at
don't let
all.
strangers in.
Not at
and
all.
it's hard to say, you know, we can all come in and share of our infrastructure when our infrastructure is failing and
It's
cannot
not
deliver
growing,
services to its own people.
Exactly.
And our president has stood up State of the Nation and said, all are welcome. We won't send anybody away. Please all come and use our infrastructure. And then South Africans are saying, hey, I can't get
What
services.
infrastructure are you wanting us to share with people in the first place?
Okay, so then, but then answer me this. It feels like once we have chased all of these immigrants away, say they're gone tomorrow, that it will not have fixed the underlying problem that is government failing.
But you see, that's where I feel a lot of people are wrong.
Okay?
The issue may be about migrants, but it's far bigger than that. It's about fighting a system,
Okay.
which is a government system.
Okay.
And once people are able to stand up to their government and remove that system completely,
Okay.
it ushers in new opportunities for new governance and a new system to take over the country.
Is there a further larger revolution on the horizon then?
Welcome back. The Home Affairs Department in Limpopo say they are working hard to help the thousands of migrants seeking help from the temporary repatriation center in Musina. More than 6,000 foreign nationals were recorded at the center, but Limpopo Home Affairs Manager Albert Matsaung says that number has been reduced. Matsaung says they have boosted efforts to cope with the huge number of people that are there. Newsroom Africa's Ngobile Madlala is in Musina and joins us now live. Ngobile, I see there's a hive of activity there behind you. The officials earlier on saying that those numbers have reduced because of the over 3,000 that were processed yesterday. But they also attributed a lot of the hard work to other stakeholders, being health, that were assisting with medical, BMA that assists at the borders, and of course those NGOs that are helping with some relief.
Yes, indeed, it's a multidisciplinary effort, and you can really see it on the ground as we speak to some of the officials as they explain it. And just behind me, you will note that at this time, which is about 11:30, that means that lunch is starting to be served. And on the left-hand side, you'll see there that those lines that are now going into Gift of the Givers tents basically shows you that that effort towards the NGO providing that humanitarian relief is quite needed, and so there is a focus in making sure that people get their food during this time. But at the same time, you will note that there are still some processes that are taking place, especially with regards to the Department of Home Affairs, with the Department of Health doing some checkups where it's needed, with Department of Home Affairs ensuring that there are still those fingerprints that are being taken. And we know that as we continue to do so, we see a bit of trickle here and there of new buses that are coming in. Not as much as what we saw yesterday. Yesterday you would see about 7 coming in one go. Today you see just 1 or 2 coming in. And of course we know that there is still a process that is still supposed to be underway as we're expecting a couple of more buses coming from 2 areas here in Limpopo, which is Toyando and Makado. But at the same time, what we're hearing is that South Africa is working very well with consulates. Now, you'll remember that this process, as it's being undertaken, the fact that they are checking and ensuring that the people that are here who may not be documented can be identified where exactly they come from, then you need those consulates to step in. And I want you to listen in terms of how that process is going and how many people have already left.
Now, we managed to make sure that we process 3,416 people within this facility. And of those 3,416, we managed to make sure that 53 buses are used to relocate to move all these people to their countries. Of the 53 buses, 4 buses we have made sure that they assist us in terms of repatriating those people that were here from Zimbabwe, and 49 buses are the buses that we have used to make sure that we repatriate our people that are going to Malawi. Consulates have been working hard with all of us just to make sure that they assist us in terms of making sure that they identify their nationals. What I can say is that we're working closely as stakeholders, and the summary in terms of what we are seeing here, we're seeing teams that are working together, teams that are representing their own department in line with all the members from the JCPS cluster.
Well, Katleho, that integrated approach, of course, is assisting to ensure that everybody takes responsibility. Talking about that responsibility, we've heard about a case of a child that seems to have now a split identity, the father being a South African and the mother being undocumented. Now, we've seen that approach now between the immigration officers looking and trying to get documentation for this child. It went as far as being able to interact with the father on the phone call and even asking the father if he can come on site. Now, those are some of the issues that there needs to be looked at, especially from the immigration side and the Department of Home Affairs. What happens to that child that was born in South Africa and still has a South African identity in a sense, but isn't identified on the books? Now, we are going to hear at 3 p.m. what's going to happen with such cases, especially because as they process people on the ground, they have to deal with such issues and such cases that are appearing. That child is about 2 months, and we are told that she was born here in Limpopo, so we'll hear more details around that. But what we have heard from the Department of Home Affairs is that they do not allow any child to leave the country if there isn't consent from both parents. So that is the father and the mother in terms of how the child ended up where they are and what is the way forward. So that needs to be done. If there is a child that requires passports, it needs to then, that process needs to kickstart, and what is the way forward for those families, because then the child could be South African and the mother be undocumented, and that's where you also see the various stakeholders like social development also coming in to assist with those processes. But we'll hear more details on that case in a little later on in the 3 p.m. update.
We certainly will. That's Ngobile Matlala bringing us the latest from Musina, as we see still scores waiting to be repatriated to their various countries.
Meanwhile, the situation at the repatriation centre in Musina remains difficult. Many Malawian nationals who have chosen to return home are still stranded, waiting for transport and the necessary arrangements to leave South Africa. Some say they have spent years working in the country without proper documents and are now uncertain about what the future holds. The ongoing immigration debate continues to divide opinions across South Africa. While some citizens support stricter enforcement of immigration laws, others are calling for a more humane approach that respects the rights and dignity of everyone affected. What are your thoughts? Should the government tighten immigration enforcement, or should it focus on finding a balanced solution? Share your opinion in the comments below.
The situation actually is proving to be quite challenging here, right? Officials finish clearing the people inside and more people start to arrive here. What do the people here need?
Well, I believe if we go to the bottom line, these people, they need to get back home. Yeah. They have been chased away from their places where they were living, and most of them are not documented. Home Affairs has said we have cleared those that have been here since Sunday, and they no longer want anything to do with these people. These people must find their own way back home, but these people don't have money for transport. So this is the predicament that we are faced with right here.
In fact, we know that many of the people slept here in the open. There's a possibility that, again, they will sleep here tonight.
Yeah, things are not promising. We need buses, like I said, but nothing concrete is coming. So they might spend another night or another 2 more nights or 3 more nights. We don't know. That's why we are appealing to anyone that can help. We need buses so these people can get back home. You can see there's children here, and these children are sleeping in the open. It's not a good thing.
Have you heard a word from the officials from Zimbabwe, Malawi?
I know Zimbabwean officials are locked up in a meeting with Home Affairs right now, but the people from Malawi, they don't have a consulate here in Cape Town, so they have no representative. So what we are doing is we just helping them together with Zimbabweans. And if ever we get buses to get them to the border or to get them to Beitbridge, that will be good. If everyone can be moved to Beitbridge so they can be processed, that is welcome.